The Sports Card Collectors 101 series rolls on. This time we're talking about which types of players are collectors collecting the most. Happy hobby, I'm David Gonis, and this is our Sports Card Collecting 101 series. If you're a sports card collector and you're working with a limited budget, or if you're new to the hobby, make sure you subscribe to this channel because that's the kind of stuff we talk about. Give tips. We give tips for working with a budget, cards to collect, sets to collect, different series reviews, reveals, all kinds of stuff. So first we want to talk about which types of players do most sports card collectors try to collect. And obviously, the first thing is rookie cards. We know rookie cards are the bread and butter of the hobby. That's what everybody tries to get, is the best rookie card of a certain player that they can get. Now, there's different series, there's different types of rookie cards, like maybe it's a prospect card or a rookie card or a first year card, all types of different versions of those cards. But for the most part, it's their first year in a professional uniform as is their rookie card. Another type of player people love to collect is Hall of Famers. A Hall of Fame player, cards from during their playing year, and then eventually they got inducted into the Hall of Fame, but cards from their playing time are sought after, like a third year, a fourth year, or a 10th year card. 20 years from now, people would love to have an Albert Pujols 19th season card. And of course, we move on to the potential Hall of Famers. Like, these are the guys that are currently playing, or they just recently retired, and they're likely going to be a Hall of Famer, or they have potential to be a Hall of Famer. So people collect their cards, and not just the rookie card. Like, for instance, Mike Trout can get his second year card. That's a big deal. Or his third year card, even. You can collect cards of a guy that's expected to get in the Hall of Fame, and you can expect those to gain in some value if they do indeed get called up into the Hall of Fame. And what you can do is, there's certain blogs you can search future MLB Hall of Famers or future NFL Hall of Famers, and every year those lists are refreshed with usually like percentages of what's their chance of getting in, or are they the most likely, or do they have a small chance? So that can help you, give you an idea of which players to collect. All right, so now let's look at, by the sport, which are the positions that most people like to collect. Like, for instance, in baseball, shortstops and outfielders seem to be the positions that most people want to collect. Shortstops specifically, power hitting shortstops, maybe with a little speed, but shortstops are usually some of the best athletes on the team. They are highly collectible. Same with outfielders, like a great center fielder that has power and speed, or a right fielder that just has power, no speed. That's awesome as well. But those are the two positions for the most part that people love to collect in baseball. And third baseman, you can kind of throw them in there as well. Third basemen are like the hybrid of a shortstop and outfielder together. Now, catchers and pitchers, not so much. For whatever reason, those aren't players that people really want to collect as much. Pitchers, probably because their careers are often shorter because of injury, or because of Tommy John surgery, or the fact that they pitch only every 5 days. Like, there's a lot of reasons why pitchers just aren't as collectible. And for catchers, catchers always have masks on. They're less identifiable. They usually come up to the big leagues a little later in their early parts of their career. Like, when a lot of prospects are coming up in their early 20s, a catching prospect is probably coming up in his mid-20s, so he's already lost a few years of gaining stats. Now, I move over to football. It's quarterbacks or bust. It's all about the quarterback, and then way down the scale, people think about running backs and wide receivers. And really, over the past 30 years, running backs used to be highly sought after, the Jim Browns and Walter Paytons. And while those veteran guys, those Hall of Fame veterans, are still super collectible, the newer guys just aren't as collectible anymore. I mean, even look at 20 years ago, LaDainian Tomlinson. He's not even close to as collectible as the older guys. Or look at even recent years, like Todd Gurley, one of the all-time best in his first couple seasons, and then he got hurt, and now he's not really collectible at all. But wide receivers are starting to surpass running backs just a little bit. You see superstar receivers like Jamar Chase, Justin Jefferson, Tyreek Hill. Like, a lot of these guys have gone past a lot of the current era of running backs. And then in the not so much category, linemen, defensive players, kickers, special teams guys, those guys, few and far between. They have to be absolutely superstar. Like, look at Justin Tucker. He's probably not ever going to be a really highly collectible guy. Defensive players, J.J. Watt, you can get very cheap. There's some awesome linebackers you can get pretty cheap. Even the veterans that go back to the vintage eras, they're usually pretty cheap to grab a hold of if you want one. Now we move on into basketball. It's all about scoring the high scores, the flashy scores. Those are the guys that really do get the most, have the most collectability, like Ja Morant or Zion Williamson or Luka Doncic. These guys just have so much going for them. They're flashy. They get tons of highlights. A lot more on screen time means a lot more in hobby brain time. So it makes sense that those guys would be highly collectible. And guys with big personalities like Trae Young, that dude's awesome to watch. He's fun, talks a lot, and you love it. And so he's a little more collectible because of his personality on the court. Then there's some defense first guys that really aren't that collectible, like Rudy Gobert. He's a fantastic player, defensive player of the year, multiple years in a row, but he's just not as collectible as you would expect. Now, another thing to think about is centers, big men in general. They just don't have that collectability like Nikola Jokic for Denver Nuggets or Joel Embiid. Their rookie cards are much lower in price and value than you would expect of a player that caliber from their season. If you look up a guard or a forward, like you got Jason Tatum or other players from those eras, Devin Booker, the centers just really don't have that super collectability outside of players like Kareem Abdul-Jabbar and Shaquille O'Neal and Hakeem Olajuwon. Like those guys, little different story back then, but in the current era, they're just not as collectible. And then when we talk about hockey, the scorers are obviously the big collectible guys. Not so much goaltenders and definitely not defensemen, but the scorers, the high scorers are the ones you want to get. So let me know what types of guys you like to collect in the comments below. Did I hit on some of them that you love to collect? Are there some that I mentioned that aren't super collectible that you like, which means you can get good prices on those? Let me know in the comments below. And whatever you do, make sure you have a happy hobby.